Our dog Chewy has flourished in the time we've spent working with Miracle Canine. During the board and train, he worked with Seamus, and more recently David. Both have been great. He has anxiety as well as fear reactivity, and in the past, it was always 1 step forward and 2 steps back with his training. We hit a wall trying to find a trainer who would allow us to still use a harness instead of a collar because of an injury he has to his neck. These guys said no problem. Who needs a collar when you have a dog who behaves the same on and off leash? I remember telling her that when she signed up for the training. Let's go! The most impactful things I've seen so far, and before we get into those, let's talk about this for a second, right? I was listening to a podcast the other day, a dog training podcast, and somebody asked the trainer this same question. What if a dog has a neck injury and, we still need to train the dog? How do I get because obviously the general procedures of e-collar training a dog, because an e-collar doesn't put pressure on the neck. You could use an e-collar with a dog like this, right? But a prong collar is generally the first steps of teaching pressure and release, teaching the dog to move into positions, things like that. So, oh my God, if you can't use a collar, what are you ever going to do?
What do we do?
Right? Guys, just get a little creative, right? Yeah, you might not have as precise of pressure and release on something like a harness, but you still can move the dog from point A to point B, which is all you need to be able to do, right? Additionally, you lean a little bit more into food in your teaching process. Instead of teaching using the shaping of the leash pressure, teach using the shaping of the luring, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the way it works, right? So get creative with this. This is not the only dog. We had another dog recently that I believe we also have a review for that we'll get to. That was in the same exact boat. It was a bulldog, couldn't have anything on his neck. It had a neck injury, and we were able to do the same thing with the harness, right?
Heck yeah.
Okay. Most impactful things I've seen so far. But one more thing.
Okay.
These are the things, getting back to there's a couple commonalities amongst these reviews, right? This one said they hit a wall trying to find a trainer who would allow us to still use a harness instead of a collar because of an injury to the neck. First off, the initial phone consult process, or if you're doing an in-person consult process, is so important because the person that's trying to hire you, unless they're dead set on using you, has probably spoken with multiple people. And they're going to find they're going to ultimately wind up going with the person they feel they connect with the most. And they're going to connect with people the most by feeling like that person understands their needs, goals, and wants.
Right.
Right? In this case, so many trainers would be like, a harness. We don't use harnesses. Instead of hearing out truly why they don't want to use the harness. It's a different story if a client is just like, I want to use a harness. All right, well, why do you want to use a harness? Well, I just want to use it because I feel bad that the dog's choking itself. Like, okay, well, that would be a time for us to explain. There shouldn't be pressure on the collar. There shouldn't be pressure on anything. We don't want the dog to be choking themselves either, right? But this is why you need to use the collar, and you educate them on why that's an appropriate collar to use, right? In this case, obviously, it's a situation of why do you want to use the harness? In a lot of trainers' mind, they think what I just explained, right? They think, no, we're not using the harness. We just need to make it clear, right? We're not using the harness. Instead of talking through them on why they want to use it, understanding that their dog does have some limitations if they can't have things around their neck, and past that, making sure that you could then come up with a creative solution and trust your skills enough to make sure you could adequately work through that issue then, right? Same deal with the other person.